The Great Western Bridge, in the very heart of Glasgow's West End, is regarded as a masterpiece of Victorian cast iron architecture and engineering. It dates from 1891 and carries the Great Western Road, the A82, across the River Kelvin. The Great Western Bridge is located at a centuries-old fording place. Remains of an old road found nearby suggest that this crossing point was used by the Roman occupiers before the Antonine Wall was abandoned in the early 200s AD. A tributary of the River Clyde, the River Kelvin meanders through the West End and provides the area with much of its character, as well as many of its place names, such as Kelvin Grove and Kelvin Dale, Kelvin Side, Kelvin Way, Kelvin Place, and there's several more. You come across the name Kelvin all over the West End. There have been two previous bridges at this location. Somewhat oddly, both bridges existed simultaneously for over half a century at exactly the same place. This engraving, dating from just after 1840, depicts both of the bridges that predate the current bridge. It also indicates the largely rural nature of the district at that time, as does this one, dating from around the same period. On the first ever Ordnance Survey map of Britain, both of the old bridges can clearly be seen. Notice how, at this time, the Great Western Road narrows as it connects with the larger, higher bridge. This early photograph was taken sometime after the construction of the church in 1863. The smaller bridge, the first one, was known as the Old Woodside Bridge and was built in 1825. It was only 16 feet wide and lay a mere 14 feet above the riverbed. The larger, higher bridge, known as the Great Western Road Bridge, was constructed very soon afterwards, between 1838 and 1840, and originally had a width of 27 feet. This was altered in 1860 when a steel structure, designed to carry the city's newly created water supply system, was bolted on to the north side of the bridge. By using this addition as an integral component, the Great Western Road Bridge was re-engineered to a width of 40 feet. This composite structure existed for 3 decades, the south side being made of the original stone and the north side being made of steel. However, even at 40 feet, the second bridge was becoming obsolete and congested. One problem in particular was that the overhangs from the recently introduced horse-drawn tram cars were proving to be a real danger to pedestrians on this now narrow space. Something had to be done, and in 1887, the engineers Bell and Miller were commissioned to examine the situation. Bell and Miller's conclusion was that an entirely new bridge was required, the basic underlying structure of which they were destined to design. The foundation stone for the Great Western Bridge was ceremonially put in place on the 9th of April, 1890. this superbly vivid watercolour by the artist William Simpson, the early preparatory stages of the Great Western Bridge's construction can be seen taking place in the foreground. Sadly, this was probably William Simpson's last ever painting, as he died the following year. The area immediately surrounding the Great Western Bridge, itself a Grade A listed structure, is graced by two of Glasgow's landmark buildings, Caledonian Mansions and Lansdowne Church. Caledonian Mansions, 1898, architect James Miller. This residential block, with shops at ground level, was originally intended to be an annex to the Central Hotel at Glasgow Central Railway Station and to be used during the Great Exhibition of 1901. Its architecture is described as being done in the Free Arts and Crafts Glasgow style. Apart from Glasgow Cathedral, Lansdowne United Presbyterian Church has the tallest spire in the city. It is also one of the slimmest spires in Europe. The church was completed in 1863. The architect was James Honeyman. His Gothic Revival design was greatly influenced by both Salisbury and Dunblane cathedrals. The cast iron components of the Great Western Bridge came from the famous Saracen Foundry, located in Postle Park, a mile or so to the north of here. The head of the Saracen Foundry, Walter McFarlane, had been an apprentice jeweller, and the precise attention to detail seen in his products probably stems from this. Cast iron architecture from the Saracen Foundry was exported all over the world. The steel girders and steel arches were supplied by Sir William Arrell and Company, located in the east end of Glasgow. Their Parkhead forge also supplied components for many other famous Victorian bridges, including the Forth Railway Bridge and London's Tower Bridge. Before the subway system was modernised in the late 1970s, the entrance to Kelvin Bridge Underground Station was located at the adjoining tenement block in South Woodlands Road at the foot of the cast iron staircase. The subway network was opened in December 1896. Kelvin Bridge subway station and its adjoining car park occupies land that for the first half of the 20th century was entirely given over to the railways. There used to be a railway station here called Kelvin Bridge, 2 words. The subway station was always called Kelvin Bridge, 1 word. Kelvin Bridge Station, also designed by James Miller, was opened for passengers in September 1896, predating the subway station by just 4 months. It was closed in 1952 and was subsequently demolished. The ticket office building, which remained, was severely damaged by fire in 1968 and was demolished the following year. The bridge that carried the railway tracks was resurfaced during the 1970s and now forms part of the Kelvin Walkway. It used to carry 2 railway tracks, hence its curiously wide dimensions. The heraldic shields of Lanarkshire, Hillhead and Glasgow feature on the bridge.